Hi everyone, how's life, and welcome to another one of my videos. Welcome to a London theatre vlog. I am currently at Wembley Park train station, tube station, and as you can see probably from behind me, I am actually off to go and see Newsies the Musical, one of my favourite musicals. I first saw this show back in 2013 in New York on Broadway, the original production. I absolutely loved it, and this is the first professional production of it in London, so cannot wait to go. Hopefully it's going to be an amazing time. Let's go! Here's another look at the sign they've got going on here at Wembley Park Station. Disney Newsies has arrived in Wembley Park. Troubadour Wembley Park Theatre, that's where we're heading. It's about a 9-minute walk away from Wembley Park Station, which isn't too bad. The last time I was actually at the Troubadour Theatre was back in 2020 to see Sleepless, the musical starring Jay McGuinness and Kimberly Walsh. It was the first musical, fun fact, that I saw after the lockdowns of 2020. So quite a special show for me just because it was, you know, my first show back after months of extreme lockdown here in the UK and obviously all over the world. But to be honest, I don't really come to this theatre often. I haven't been since 2020, I don't think. Wembley Park Theatre sign is just over here. You just kind of head towards Wembley Stadium, weirdly, and then at one point there'll be some directions to take you exactly to the theatre instead of the Wembley Park Stadium. It is a freezing evening here in London, by the way. Today's the 14th of December 2022, about 11 days left now until Christmas. But let's talk about Newsies. I am honestly so excited about seeing this production. I feel like I've been waiting almost a decade for this. At one point I just didn't think it would ever happen because there's been rumours here and there over the past 10 years about it finally making its professional debut here in London, and every time a rumour kind of happens, a few months later it's like, oh, actually it didn't happen. So I was almost losing hope. And as I mentioned earlier in the vlog, this is going to be a completely new production, so it's not going to be like the original. It's not going to be like the production that I saw on Broadway in New York back in 2013. So I'm really curious to see it, but here you go, we've got the theatre here in front of us. Theatre Troubadour Wembley Park Theatre. Just going to go through security and go in. Well, security was really quick. Look at the snow on the ground, by the way. It snowed like a couple of nights ago and there's still some left. You can see the Newsies logo up there, and actually if you want to grab yourself some food you can before the show. You can see the menu here. They do burgers, cheeseburgers, hot dogs, vegan hot dog as well, and fries. So yeah, they've got these stands around and little tables and seating areas for you to enjoy your meal before the show. But for now we are only interested about Newsies and Newsies alone, the award-winning musical, newsiesthemusical.co.uk. I still can't believe it's actually here now in London in the UK, and phenomenal cast as well by the sounds of it. So I'm really looking forward to checking out this new production of Newsies. We are now heading in. This is the lobby area. It's almost like a little warehouse, this theatre. It's not the most exciting of venues in my opinion, but I love that they have a Christmas tree going on for the festive season at the moment. And look who I bumped into. Hello, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Nathan.
Are you excited about seeing Newsies tonight?
So thrilled.
You've never seen it before, right?
Never seen it before.
Okay.
One of my faves though, I'm really excited.
And we've both heard pretty good things about this production, right? So hopefully it's going to be amazing.
Yes.
But you can see the posters they've got going up as well of the fantastic cast for this production of Newsies, the award-winning musical. You can see all the lead cast members. I'm so curious to see them because obviously the characters in Newsies mean a lot to me. And this is a merchandise stand, so we're going to have a quick look at it. They seem to have a t-shirt here, Disney Newsies, the award-winning musical. There's a hoodie up there that says, "The world will know," one of my favorite songs from the musical. Absolutely love that one. It's such a powerful piece. And then here we seem to have a couple of other things. So there's a little pin, Newsies pin. Lord have mercy, I might have to buy a couple of things from here. Definitely the magnet. I love collecting magnets. Seize the Day, Newsies, the award-winning musical. And then they have these mugs, which, oh, I love the concept of this, because Newsies, of course, is all about newspapers and paper boys, and this is a pretty cool looking mug, so we'll have to come back to this later. And then you can see some other options up there of hoodies. There seems to be a nice little hoodie with a logo of Newsies. Watch What Happens, that's Cara Lindsay's song, who was in the original production of Newsies anyway. I love that song. And that's more or less it by the looks of it. I am going to check out the stand later on at the end of the show, probably because I want to buy a program for sure. And then they also have a bar here if you want to get yourself a drink either before the show, after the show, or I suppose in the interval as well. But yes, I am legit so excited. It doesn't feel real that I'm actually here about to watch Newsies in London. Not in New York, not on Broadway, but in London. I cannot wait. The venue looks pretty nice as well. I'm excited to see the actual theatre, the Auditorium. Obviously I'm not going to be filming the show or anything, but hopefully I can show you some of the Auditorium, because apparently it's changed a little bit since I last was in that theatre a couple of years ago for Sleepless. Here is my ticket for the night, as you can see. Newsies Troubadour Wembley Park Theatre, and I'm in the Richmond section, which apparently I think might be quite close to the stage. Who knows? We are going to obviously check it out later on, but it says enter via door 1. So yeah, I'm just going to have to find door 1. We've still got about 15 minutes until the show starts. It's 10-minute call, and I just asked a lovely staff member where door 1 was. Apparently I was in in the exact opposite of where I needed to be. Door 1 is on the left-hand side of the bar, which is where we're heading to right now. There you go. We are entering. Staff members here have been fantastic, by the way. So lovely. Oh my God. Already, I feel like this has changed so much. Lord have mercy. It feels like a very immersive experience already. Look at the stage. Right, I'm going to go and find my place. Hello. How are you?
Richmond.
Yes.
This is Richmond over here.
And here we are. This is row DD in the Richmond section, and at number 37, I believe, is going to be all the way down here. 37 is here. Never mind. This is where we're going to be. Lord have legit mercy. Look at this. Look at this theatre, guys. It has transformed so much since I was last here in 2020, and I did have a vlog of that as well if you want to check it out. September of 2020 when I came to see Sleepless. Also, I've just met the lovely, what are your names, guys?
Jay,
and
Maya.
Are you excited for the show?
We're very excited.
Yeah, amazing. Same, cannot wait. But here we have it. Here's one last look at the stage before it starts. Look at that, we've got the Santa Fe building up there as well. It's obviously already quite different to the production in New York when I saw it in 2013, because just the way the stage is built with the audience kind of around it on 3 sides, it feels a lot more immersive. I like the projections they've got going on each side. I mean, look at that. Wow, this theatre has transformed so well, and I have to say I am now a fan of the Park Theatre, the Troubadour Wembley Park Theatre. It has a lot more character now, I feel like, than it did when I last came here in 2020. It actually feels like somewhere that you remember, you know, with the audience around the stage and everything. I cannot wait to see the show. I'm also a little bit nervous because I love the original stage production so much, and obviously I know that the choreography is going to be different in this, the whole direction, it's just going to be a different production altogether. So I'm curious to see how they've changed it, if I'm still going to love it. I feel like I probably will, because I love the songs, but like I said, I know the original production so well, and one of the things that I love the most about the original production obviously was the choreography, so I'm intrigued to see how they change it. But without further ado, I'm going to love you and leave you, because the show should be starting in the next 5 or so minutes, and I'll hopefully speak to you in the interval. Bye for now. It is the interval, and even having just only watched one act, I can honestly say that so far this is my favourite and best theatrical experience of not only 2022 but the past few years since COVID, really. Since 2020, I have cried multiple times. You might be able to see on my face. At least I want to say 3 or 4 times. I cried in the beginning with Santa Fe's opening, and then carrying the banner, The World Will Know. Even during Kathleen Palmer's song, I did not expect to cry so much, but I think this musical just means a lot to me. This show means a lot to me. I've been waiting to see it again live since 2013, and I almost got a chance to go and see it again on Broadway in 2014, but for some reason it didn't happen, unfortunately. For some complicated situations, I wasn't able to go, even though I'd bought my tickets and everything. So yeah, since 2013, young me from nearly 10 years ago now has been dying to see the show again, really, and this production is beautiful. If you're watching this right now, stop this video, pause it, watch the rest of it in a second, go and buy yourself a ticket, because it is stunning. I thought I'd show you the stage another time from here. This is another angle, so you can see there's different sections. I think that up there is the Manhattan section. We've got Woodside on that side. I'm obviously in the Richmond section over there. My row was actually empty in the first act, but I think a couple of people have decided to come and join me for the second half. This is the Bronx section over here, which actually, for this performance, I guess because it's a midweek evening performance, it's on a Wednesday that I'm showing this, yeah, it's empty, this whole section. But I feel like even if you sit here, like I'm just going to show you the view, if you've got a section in the Bronx, you still get a pretty awesome, unique view of the stage. I cannot explain to you how much I am loving every second of this show. Newsies in London, this new production, great production. The cast is fantastic. I'm obviously going to get a program because I want to talk about the cast at the end of the show when I get back home. Phenomenal cast, fantastic ensemble, leading cast amazing, everything. Like, I was worried about the choreography as well, because obviously I knew it was going to be different with it being a new production, but actually I really enjoy this choreography as well. It's quite different, as you can imagine, to the original, and yeah, it still works though. It still works absolutely amazing, and the fact that it's so immersive as well. Like, there are Newsies coming through up there. I had an interaction with one of the Newsies. Crutchy at one point literally was like, hey, and I was like, oh, you're talking to me? And he gave me his crutch to hold for a second whilst he was coming down somewhere, and then I gave it back to him. It was just incredible, and I don't know, like I said, I am fully gushing about it. Hopefully at the end of the video, once I'm home and I've gathered my thoughts, I can talk about it a bit more. But Newsies in London, best show I've seen in a long time. Anyway, I am now just heading back to the reception lobby area to get myself a program because, Lord have mercy, I need to talk about this cast. Before I go and grab myself a program, I thought I'd show you the kind of front view as well. If you're looking at the stage to the center, this is what you would get. And this area here, I think it's called the Manhattan, is the one that goes the highest up. But honestly, I feel like there's no bad seat in the house. I was just talking to the girls that I spoke to earlier, Maya and Jay, and they agreed with me that they both want to like come back and try the different neighborhoods, which I completely get because you get a different experience, you know, depending on where you're sitting. But we are back here. I am overwhelmed. I'm so sorry if this vlog so far is not making any sense. I'm so overwhelmed. Just got myself my program. It's actually very convenient because there are a couple of staff members walking around just with programs, and they have card machines as well. So if you don't want to buy anything else, that's obviously the merch stand over there, and you can see quite a bit of a queue for the main merch stand for people who want to actually buy other merch, which I'm probably going to get at the end of the show. But for now, I just wanted the program. It was £9. I've got it here with me. I'm going to show some of it to you later on. But before I go back to my seat, I thought I'd show you this as well. Hopefully you guys can scan it if you want to. If you scan it, you can browse the Newsies cast, which I think is really good. But if you do want to see the cast very quickly, they do also show the cast list up here, Disney's Newsies, and yeah, you've got the list of the cast up there, as well as the stage management team and everything else. And it's also now talking about the bar being open, so there you go, the bar of course on this side. I'm actually kind of surprised at how quiet the reception is. Last time I was here for Sleepless, it just felt very busy, so a good time to come midweek if you don't want it to be too busy. Anyway, I'm now back in my seat. As you can see, I am also now joined by a few people in my row, so I'm no longer on my own, because for Act 1 it was literally just me in row DD of the Richmond section. But yeah, excited for Act 2. There's lots going to be happening in Act 2. Cannot wait to see it, and hopefully I'll be able to choose some of the curtain call at the end as well, so I'll see you then. Okay, the lighting is terrible, but who cares? The show has just finished. It was incredible. The Richmond section is now empty, as you can see. I also managed to grab myself one of these, the Newsies banner. They have loads of props, honestly, you know, from the stage, and if you end up being close to the stage, you might be able to get some, and there were loads of these little banners. So I picked one up as a little souvenir from the show, but there you go. Here's the stage one last time. Had an incredible time. I would highly actually recommend sitting in the Richmond section. Very, very cool. This is where Crutchy walked down from and gave me his crutches to hold on to for a second whilst he was coming down. It was amazing. It was so cool. I feel like I've now touched a part of basically the sets, the props basically, which is pretty awesome. So I would highly recommend. The ticket that I purchased was £90 though, so it is a bit more expensive, but I would say everywhere else is probably good as well. It's just if you want to have the same experience as I did, maybe sit on this row DD in the Richmond section. But I'm going to head out now. Bye Newsies for now. Let's head out back into the reception area because I'm probably going to get myself a couple of merchandise items. So it seems to be a lot quieter at the merchandise stand at the moment. The hoodie that I really wanted, the one that says "The World Will Know" on the back, which is one of the songs that I love the most from the show, it's just the back of it. The front of it says Newsies. I don't know how expensive it's going to be. You can see the prices over here. So the logo t-shirt £25, quote t-shirt 28, long sleeve t-shirt 28. The hoodie is £55. Okay, so it's £55 for this. I'm trying to decide whether or not I want it. That hoodie, I almost got it. In fact, I even asked for it. I was like, you know, what's been the most popular item that you've been selling? And they said, the lovely staff members at the merchandise stand, they said the hoodie's been the most popular. And I was like, okay, can I have a look at it maybe? And they said, they had a look and they were like, actually, sorry, we don't have any stock left. It's that popular that I'm here on a Wednesday and they said they normally get their stocks every Monday. Within about 2 days, that hoodie's already sold out. So if I come back next week, I should be able to get it. And I'm definitely planning on coming back at some point, hopefully in the next few months, to see this production one more time. But I did get a few other things, which I'm going to show you here. I've got the tote bag here, which you can see. So make sure you keep watching if you want to see exactly what I bought from the merchandise stand. Again, big shout out to the lovely staff members. Everyone in the theatre has been really friendly. Of course, I've got my program still here as well, but I don't know why I just sat down. I felt like I needed a moment of just taking everything in. But there you go, that is it. Look at the phenomenal cast again behind me. I've had such an incredible theatre experience tonight, honestly. Yeah, it's been amazing. You can see by the smile on my face. I am going to speak to you a bit more though when I get home, so I'll see you then. Okay, I am now back home. It has been a couple of hours as well. It's currently about 1:30 in the morning as I'm about to film this, but Newsies. Let's talk about Newsies before we actually get to the production that I watched tonight actually at the Wembley Park / Troubadour Theatre. I want to give you a little bit of a background of my history with Newsies, I suppose, so you can skip forward if you don't care. But as I mentioned a couple of times earlier in the vlog, I first saw Newsies in 2013 when I went to New York for the first time as an adult. I'd been a couple of times as a child, but it was my first time going as an adult and as a big theatre fan. And so I went to New York for about 3 days only, and I saw 3 different shows on those 3 days. The first one being Wicked. I'd already seen Wicked in London, obviously. I just wanted my first Broadway show for some reason to be Wicked, because I was just, you know, a big Wicked fan girl at the time. And then the second night that I was in New York, back in September of 2013, I went to see Newsies at the Nederlander Theatre in New York. And I really didn't know much about Newsies. When I went to see it, I'd just heard quite a lot about it, and I'd seen, I think, a couple of trailers about it, and it looked really cool, and obviously I knew it was Disney. So I went to see it with my mom, actually, and we both really enjoyed it. Like, we were both so amazed by that production, that original production at the Nederlander Theatre. And I think the fact that I didn't know much about it before going in made me love it even more, because I was so just overwhelmed and surprised by the talent that I was watching on stage, the incredible choreography, the incredible music, just the incredible show overall together. I have such good memories of that visit to the Nederlander Theatre on Broadway to watch Newsies in September of 2013, that I think part of why I got emotional as soon as the show started here in London tonight is because it immediately took me back to when I watched it about 9 years ago on stage in New York. You know, the music, just hearing it live, the incredible music with the score by Alan Menken just was incredible. So before we actually again get to the production of the night, I do want to show you some clips, because believe it or not, I've been vlogging for a long time, and I do have some vlogs of my time in New York in 2013, including some separate videos, like reviews if you like, of what I thought of the shows that I saw, including one of Newsies. So we're going to go back to me from about 10 years ago now.
So hi guys, last month I was in New York, and whilst I was there I saw 3 Broadway shows. One of them, and my second ever experience of a Broadway show, was Newsies the Musical, and this is my playbill for it. Right, so before I even go into detail, I'm just going to say it now. I absolutely adored this show. I loved it so much. So this video is just going to be me going on and on about how amazing it is. So if you don't like it, or if you want like a proper review, I mean, don't watch it, because I'm just going to say completely positive things about it throughout this video. It was just phenomenal, it really was. And I'm using all these incredible adjectives, I'm sorry. It's because I genuinely did feel that way. I genuinely think that it's an amazing show, and I felt like it was one of the best shows that I've seen. And in fact, I'm going to say now, Newsies is the best show that I've seen this year. The best musical I've seen in 2013. Definitely, so far anyway.
So there you go. I find it interesting that even me, like 9-10 years ago, back then when I first saw Newsies on Broadway, had the same reaction to it that I did tonight, and I claimed that that was my favourite show of 2013 that I'd seen that year. And believe me, back then I used to see a lot more theatre than I get the chance to these days, because unfortunately, obviously with my travelling and stuff, and not unfortunately, obviously I'm very lucky, but because I'm obviously away quite a lot at the moment, I don't get to spend enough time in London to be able to go to theatre as often. Also, back then I was a student, so I could use my student card to get discounts and stuff, whereas I can't really do that anymore. And so the fact that I still thought that was the best show of 2013 back then meant a lot. And ever since I saw that production, I've been wanting to see it again. As I mentioned earlier in the vlog, I did have tickets to go back to New York in 2014, but for some complicated reasons, unfortunately, I wasn't able to go on that trip. And I think I just gave my tickets to a friend that I had in New York, and she went instead of me. And then unfortunately, Newsies closed on Broadway. And then a few years later, in 2017, I was actually really kindly invited by Disney to go to the Disney HQ in London to watch an early screening of Newsies the Musical, which had been filmed. And I do have a vlog of that on my channel as well from 2017, so you can check that as well. I'll leave the link down below, but here's a couple of clips of that for now. 4 years ago, in September 2013, I saw one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life, Newsies. It's definitely a show that means a lot to me, and I was lucky enough to be able to go to an early screening of it last week at Disney, and here's what happened. I am currently at the Walt Disney Studios in London for the screening of Newsies the Musical, and I'm very excited because Newsies is one of my favourite musicals, and to be able to see it again is just incredible, and it's coming out in cinemas as well, so it's going to be a lot of fun in the next few weeks. This is the Newsies poster, by the way, which is really cool. In cinemas, 19th of February. There you go. I definitely recommend it. Like, if you can, go and see it. If you love musical theatre, if you love Disney, this is like, it doesn't get any better than this, to be honest. So yeah, that's when I got to see Jeremy Jordan's performance for the first time, because I am going to get to the cast that I got to see in a second. But yeah, the screening of Newsies, which is also now available on Disney Plus, by the way, has the full-on original cast, I think, from Newsies when it first opened at the Paper Mill, and then obviously on Broadway in 2012. But when I got to see Newsies in September of 2013, I saw most of the original cast. So I got to see Cara Lindsay as Catherine Plummer, who I'm a huge fan of now. That was her Broadway debut. Newsies was her Broadway debut, and she's gone on to do so many incredible things. And yeah, I got to see her in the Newsies, and I still follow her on Instagram all these years later, and I really hope that I get a chance to see her again one day in a show. I also got to see Ben Frankhauser as Davy, who in my opinion has one of the most beautiful voices ever. I just love his voice. It's like, it just melts when you listen to it. It's so beautiful. And then for Jack Kelly, we had Corey Cott on, who overtook from Jeremy Jordan. So I think he used to understudy Jeremy Jordan's part, and then when Jeremy Jordan left, Corey Cott became the main principal Jack Kelly, and I fell in love with Corey Cott as well. The first time I saw him on Broadway in Newsies, I just thought it was amazing. And again, I really hope I get a chance to see him in another show one day. So yeah, that's a little bit of my history, I suppose, with Newsies. I just wanted to share this with you so you can appreciate my love for the show and realize just how much the show means to me. The musical, the music especially, just really touches me. The story of it, I really like shows that have a lot of dance as well in them. Obviously I'm a big Billy Elliot fan as well, kind of makes sense. With that being said, let's now talk about Newsies at Wembley Park Theatre, the production that I saw tonight. Now, this show only opened, I want to say, about a week or so ago. It had its press night, I think last week, and I think they started previews at the end of November, 29th or 30th of November. Fun fact for you, I actually originally had a ticket for the second ever preview on the 30th of November, but I ended up flying to California that day instead. So I gave away my ticket for that preview to one of you lovely people who follow me on Instagram, which is why it's definitely worth you guys following me on Instagram, especially if you live either near London or in London. If you can get to London easily, sometimes I end up giving away tickets that I just can't, you know, use myself. So little plug for my Instagram over there. But yes, so the story of Newsies, firstly, it's obviously Disney. It's a Disney musical, and believe it or not, it's also a Disney live action film, one that has never really been that popular in Europe, at least. I think think in the US it did get some attention after it was released in 1992, but yeah, in Europe, in the UK, it never really been that big of a thing. And the story is about a bunch of newsies who are basically like paper boys, if you like, people who sell newspapers, teenagers in 1899, about 100 years or so ago. And what happens is that the newspaper that they are selling decides to increase their prices quite a bit, which makes it difficult for the newsies, these paper boys, to buy the newspapers and then sell on. And so they decide to go on a strike to basically fight for their rights in a way. And yeah, it's a story that I think is relatable to a lot of people. I love a story, a musical about a strike, again going back to Billy Elliot over here. But yeah, it is a very touching story. It's about the underdog, and I appreciate musicals and just theatre shows about that. The lead character of the Newsies that we get introduced to at least is Jack Kelly, and he's always had this dream of escaping this really difficult life that he has as a newsie, as a paper boy. And for him it's about Santa Fe. He's created this version of Santa Fe in his mind. He's also an artist, and yeah, that's kind of how he copes with the difficulties of his life, which I think is something that again a lot of us can relate to. We all have something that helps us cope when things go wrong, and for him living that really difficult life on the streets, and especially after the newspaper prices go up as well, you know, the kind of what keeps him going is this idea of Santa Fe, which is obviously one of the songs in the show as well. But with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the cast. The role of Jack Kelly is played by Michael Ahomka Lindsay, and here is a little photo of him. I had never seen him in anything before, but he has done quite a lot. So I think most recently he played Emmett Forrest in Legally Blonde at their open air theatre in London, which unfortunately I didn't get a chance to see. I have heard pretty good things about it though. With Jack Kelly being such a big part of Newsies, and with me being a huge fan of Corey Cott when I saw him on Broadway, I had high expectations actually of Michael, and he definitely met them. He was so great in the role of Jack Kelly. I loved his voice, I loved his acting. He just transformed into Jack Kelly. He was so good. His dancing as well, he's an amazing dancer, honestly like a triple threat. But I think his voice especially really blew my mind. The way he sang Santa Fe, the acting through song, really appreciated that. I cried when he sang Santa Fe. I cried, so that says a lot. So yeah, big shout out to Michael. And the role of Davy is played by Ryan Coppell. I hope I'm pronouncing his surname right, but there you go. You can kind of see him here. And again, he did a really good job. I thought it was actually so interesting how similar his portrayal was to Ben Fankhauser's portrayal, at least in my opinion anyway. I felt like it was very similar, and I really appreciated that. And Ryan has a really lovely voice as well. I definitely believed his character, I believed his journey. The only thing I would have liked to see a little bit more is in Act 2, especially when he's kind of now, spoiler alert, helping out with the strike. I feel like I wanted to see a bit more of his camaraderie, more of his friendship with the other newsies. I mean, I saw some of that, but it could have been a bit more exaggerated, but that could be just a personal decision by him. It could be a directional choice. His characterization still absolutely worked. It's just I would have liked to see a bit more smiles, perhaps. I feel like I didn't get enough of a sense that he felt fully comfortable within the Newsies group. I did get a little bit of a sense, but not enough. Having said that though, I genuinely did, you know, overall enjoy his performance, loved his voice, loved his acting, and I thought he did a really good job in the role of Davy. Davy also has a brother in the show called Les, and Les is meant to be about 9 or 10 years old. So there was a list of child actors who play the role of Les. Tonight we had Ethan on, who is this lovely performer, young performer over here, Ethan Sokontwe. And he was brilliant. He was so good. I think he's definitely younger than 10. At least he looked younger than 10. But he's done a few different shows. He's been in Joseph. He's been in Matilda the Musical at the Cambridge Theatre. So he's obviously quite experienced in theatre despite being a young performer. And he was great. He was so great. He was so funny. He was a great dancer. He had such a great command of the stage. Confident performer. Really enjoyed his performance. And I really believed the relationship between him and Davy as well, Ryan. Honestly, the whole cast is so good. And I really want to talk about everyone. Obviously, I probably won't get a chance to, otherwise this video will be really long. But I think the next person I want to talk about is Catherine Plummer, played by Bronte Barber, who is this lovely performer over here. Now, Catherine Plummer is a character that's not actually in the movie version of Newsies, but she was added as a character when the Broadway stage show opened up, because Newsies just generally is very male heavy, and I think when they opened up on Broadway, or before Broadway I suppose, at the Paper Mill Theatre, they realised that they kind of need to add some kind of female lead as well to make it more, you know, appealing I suppose to a general public. She's also meant to be of course a love interest for Jack Kelly. Now, Catherine Plummer is a great character. I think she might be one of my favourite musical theatre characters, And Bronte Barber, again, she has a huge list of shows that she has done. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything though, unfortunately. Might have done, but I don't particularly remember. She has been in Beautiful, the musical. She's recently done What's New Pussycat at the Birmingham Rep. She's done shows at the Chichester, Carole King as well, obviously at the Beauty and Beautiful. So she has done a lot of shows, and I've heard pretty good things about her as well. Overall, I thought she was really, really good. I loved her voice. She has an incredible voice, very powerful voice. I really liked her characterization in Act 1. I feel like in Act 1, her portrayal of Catherine worked better than in Act 2 because, as I mentioned, she's meant to be the love interest of Jack Kelly. And whilst I did get the vibe from Jack Kelly's side, from Michael, that he genuinely fancies Catherine Plummer in the show, I didn't get it quite as much from Catherine, from Bronte in Act 2, which is when the romance is meant to develop. And I think this could also be just because of the fact that, you know, it's still only been a few weeks since the show has opened. So as the show goes on, as the cast get to know each other better, you know, this could feel a bit more natural and it could be a bit more believable. Catherine's softening towards Jack Kelly in Act 2 because I felt like I didn't really see that journey with her quite as much. She does have an incredible voice though, and I really did enjoy her portrayal, especially in Act 1. She does have an iconic song called Watch What Happens, which, me being a huge fan of Cara Lindsay, I may not have been the best person to judge this, but I think one thing again that I would have liked more from Bronte in that song was she sang it incredibly well, and I am so amazed by her vocals. I felt like maybe she could have added a bit more facial expressions, a bit more comic timing, you know, here and there. Some of the moments in that song, and it's a very difficult song to sing by the way, just didn't work the way I've seen it work before, obviously with Cara Lindsay. Again, please realize that I'm just being nitpicky here. Like, overall, everyone's performances was phenomenal. I'm just talking about my personal preferences and what I would have liked to have seen more of. I think as I was sat quite close to the stage as well, I could see her facial expressions very well, and I just didn't think she did enough to convince me. And like I said, it's a very difficult song to sing, not only because there's not enough time for you to actually get air, it's so fast paced, it's like literally da 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 da. It's very fast. It's so difficult. I've tried to sing it multiple times. Obviously, I'm not a professional singer anyway, but yeah, I struggle. It's difficult. And so anyone who's able to even sing that song, I am completely amazed by. But because the song is very much like 1 second she's thinking one thing, the other she's like, oh, but I really like Jack, etc. I didn't quite believe the jump between her thoughts as much as I would have liked to. Again, it could have just been tonight's performance. Again, it could be something that will improve, but I just wanted to mention it here because some of my thoughts, right? But yes, again, I'm looking at the program here and all the cast members, and every one of them stood out to me because they were all so good, even the ensemble. But I think the last person I want to quickly mention is Moya Angela, who played Meda Larkin. I thought she had an incredible voice, really enjoyed her, even though generally speaking that scene isn't one of my favourites in Newsies. I really enjoyed Moya's performance tonight. I'm just going to show you all the cast because they were all phenomenal. The ensemble especially, I feel like this is very much an ensemble piece, and the ensemble are such a huge part of Newsies. The show wouldn't be half as good without this strong ensemble, so I just wanted to show them all to you because unfortunately I can't actually name them all. They do have some rehearsal photos here as well and some other shots here, so definitely worth buying the program. As I think I mentioned earlier, it's about £9, which I think is worth it. The music in Newsies is some of my favourite music from any musical theatre. I absolutely love every single song in it, and I think part of that reason is because it's composed by Alan Menken, one of my absolute favourite composers. And like I said, I just love all the songs there, from Caesar Day, from Santa Fe, Once and For All, Carrying the Banner, The World Will Know, honestly all of them. King of New York, they're all such good songs. The book is done by Harvey Fierstein, also very good. It's the same book obviously that was used for Broadway, and then the lyrics are done by Jack Feldman. Again, really enjoy the lyrics as well. So that's the creative team behind the music, lyrics and the book. Now, one thing that was different about this production was the director and of course the choreographer. So the director and choreographer for this production of Newsies in London is Matt Cole. I think it's incredible that he's not only directed it but also choreographed it. It just shows how talented he is. And overall, I loved it. I loved the direction, I loved the choreography. I think everything worked well, especially within the space that they had there at the Wembley Park Troubadour Theatre. I was so worried before going in, especially about the choreography, because the original choreography is so iconic. There are so many iconic moments in some of the songs. Just Seize the Day, the bits where they throw the newspapers on the ground, they dance on the newspapers and rip them off, the bit where one of the Newsies pirouettes on the newspapers. There's just so many incredible iconic moments in the original choreography by Christopher Gattelli. And Christopher Gattelli, the original choreographer for Newsies the Musical, the stage production, actually won a Tony Award back in 2012. This is how incredible his choreography is. So I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about a different kind of choreography, but I didn't have anything to worry about, honestly. Matt Cole's choreography is just as good. It's different, obviously, to what I'm used to, and I think I do overall prefer Christopher Gattelli's choreography, the original. I think it makes sense, it's the one I'm used to, and I think overall I probably prefer the original production as well. Having said that though, for the space that we have here at Wembley Park Theatre and this new immersive way of showcasing Newsies to the public, I thought the choreography worked really well. And in fact, there were actually some moments in the choreography tonight by Matt Cole that I think could potentially one day become iconic for their own ways, and that's incredible. That's something that I never thought would happen. So yeah, really enjoyed the lively, energetic choreography. There are acrobatic movements in the choreography, there's ballet, there's tap numbers. It's just everything you could imagine, and that's why this team, the cast members, are all so incredibly talented, so athletic. They can do so much. Like, my mouth was like, at times, it's just so beautiful. I love it so much, honestly. So yeah, I do feel like I need to go and watch the show a few more times to get a better feel for the choreography, because as I said, I'm so used to the original choreography that when I listen to the songs, for instance, I'm always imagining the original dance moves. But because I really enjoyed this new choreography as well, I do really want to go back, hopefully at some point, and see it again. What else do I need to talk about? So I suppose just the immersiveness of it all. I did mention a little bit about how there's just Newsies everywhere. Because there are audience members on 3 different sides of the stage, it feels very different to the way Broadway did it. There's a lot more they can do, actually, and I really appreciated it. There were just so many phenomenal moments where you didn't even know where to look because there was so much going on. I mean, at one point some of the Newsies were literally swinging and hanging off some lamps or chandeliers, whatever you want to call them, and they actually did some dance moves as well whilst they were up there. That was very impressive. There's also some other swings going on throughout the show. Les the child is like swinging on a rope at one point. The whole thing is very acrobatic. It's very impressive. It really is a spectacle. Having said that, there are a couple of things that I wasn't a big fan of, so I'm going to really quickly touch on those. They might include spoilers, and by that I mean if you've only seen the Broadway production and if you're not familiar with the UK one, if you don't want to know anything about it, maybe skip ahead a couple of minutes. The first thing that I think didn't quite work is the song Once and For All, which is one of my favourite songs. It happens towards the end of Act 2, and I feel like that's one of the very few songs, if not the only song really, that didn't quite work with this new production. Even though they tried their best and they had loads of Newsies around the audience on different sides trying to make that scene as powerful as possible, it still wasn't quite enough to give me that powerful vocal performance that you saw in the original production when all the Newsies are on those like metallic boxes and the set moves forward towards the audience as they're all singing Once and For All. The set does not move in this production, it's just there, and all the Newsies are kind of surrounding the area rather than being together when they sing that, and I just feel like that kind of lost a little bit of the power for that particular song only. Every other song and choreography, whilst it was different, it still worked really well. It was still powerful, just in a different way to the original production, but Once and For All for me just didn't quite have the impact that the original production has when the sets move forward, as I mentioned, which is one of the most iconic parts actually of the original production of Newsies the Musical. And the other thing that I wasn't quite sure on is the whole Brooklyn thing. Again, this might be a bit of a spoiler, but everyone from Brooklyn, all the Newsies from Brooklyn, ended up being female, which as a female lover of theatre I should be loving that, and I normally would, but I feel like it just felt a little bit forced. I just didn't quite understand it. In the original production of Newsies, they're also men, like the Brooklyn Newsies are also male, and whilst I love the fact that they've included more females and there was more females in the ensemble as well in this production, I just think the fact that it was only the Newsies of Brooklyn that were all female, there wasn't a single guy in that group, and yet there were no female Newsies in any of the other neighborhoods, just didn't make sense to me personally, especially because they really obviously big up Brooklyn as well, saying that they're like some of the best Newsies out there, they really respect them. It just felt a little bit forced what they were trying to do with it. Like, I appreciated it, but I also didn't think it was natural, if that makes any sense. I hope I've managed to get my point across well. Like I said, the performances were all great. I enjoyed seeing the female cast in the ensemble. It's just I didn't quite like the decision in the way they executed it, at least. Just didn't really make sense to me, personally. But that's more or less it in terms of things I wasn't a big fan of. Overall, this is a fantastic production. I highly recommend it if you're coming to London. Yes, Wembley might not be in the West End. It might be a little bit far out, but it's absolutely worth the trip. It's only about a half an hour journey on the tube from from central London to Wembley, and I would recommend you going and seeing it. It's actually been extended. Apparently Newsies was meant to only go on until February of 2023, but because it's been so popular and it's had such good reviews already, it's now been extended until the middle of April of 2023. So you've got about 4 or 5 months to go and watch it. Do not miss your chance, and I'm really hoping that eventually we'll get to transfer into the West End. I would love to see it continue. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I paid about £90 for my ticket in Richmond. DD35 I think was my exact seat number, but I've had a look at some of the performances in January of 2023, and for the same ticket that I had tonight, they're now charging only about £55, so about 40 something pounds cheaper. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it's just for January. I haven't checked every other month. Maybe they've realized that £90 might be a bit too much. I don't know. I did purchase my ticket before the production had opened, so quite a while ago though, so maybe that's why. I'm a bit sad though, because I feel like £90 versus £55. This does mean, however, that if I do go back, I'm happy to pay that £55 and sit in the same exact location that I sat tonight, because I thought that was a brilliant view. Having said that though, I would also like to try out some of the other views. I'd love to be in Manhattan, for instance, or even Brooklyn. It would be cool to watch it from Brooklyn, or on the other side perhaps. I just want to go many times. I want to see the show as many times as possible, and I hope I get the chance, because with my travelling, I'm not always in London, but I really do want to make a point of at least going back one more time before the show closes at the Troubadour Theatre. It is really late at night, so I do apologise if I look really tired, but I wanted to quickly also show you the merchandise that I got. So one thing that I got is the tote bag. It says Newsies Stop the World. Disney Newsies. I wish they had something about London on there. Everything seems to just be kind of Newsies generally, rather than having the London production like specific on it, but that's fine. So I got a pin, as you can see, Newsies pin, which looks really cute. I love the metallic vibe of it. I love how simple and understated it is. Similar to that pin, I also got a keyring, or a keychain if you like. Again, it says Newsies. Really like the vibe of it. Nice and simple, really nice. I did of course also have to buy the magnet, the fridge magnet. I really like the logo of this. It says Seize the Day on the top. Again, Newsies. Yeah, nice little magnet. I can't wait to add this to our fridge, our ever-growing collection of magnets on our fridge. Let me know in the comments down below, by the way, if you'd like me to one day. I don't know how niche this is going to be, but I could do a collection of fridge magnets and just show you all the magnets we have on our fridge. And then last but not least, I did want to get that hoodie. Like, I'd accepted it mentally that I was going to pay 55 or whatever pounds it was to buy that lovely hoodie with "The World Will Know" on the back, and like I said, they said they've completely ran out of them. They didn't have a single one left, not even like a particular size, nothing. They were all sold out, and it's only Wednesday, so I ended up opting for the t-shirt instead. This again just has the logo, Disney Newsies, the award-winning musical. I got this in a size medium. I think it's meant to be unisex, so yeah, there you go. Cannot wait to wear this. Might even wear it the next time I go and see Newsies, except unfortunately it's going to be winter time still, because this is on until April unless they extend it. So the hoodie would have been better, and I still would like to get the hoodie hopefully on my next visit. But that is it. I have talked a lot. I am so sorry about how long this video is. I hope you did enjoy this vlog though. Let me know in the comments down below if you did. Let me know if you're going to be watching Newsies anytime soon. Have you seen the video? Because they have got obviously a full recording of the Broadway production that you can find on Disney+. Did you ever get to see it on Broadway? Are you going to see it in London? I would love to hear your thoughts. But with that, I am gonna love you and leave you. I need to get some sleep. I'm very tired, but I'm just so happy. I'm so happy I got to see Newsies, and it really is one of the best nights that I've had in the theatre. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.